This episode is made possible by our sponsor, Omega Bright Wellness. I've taken their omega-3 supplements for many years, and so has my wife, and that's why I invited them to sponsor my podcast. I'm proud to have them. You can find all of their products online at omegabrightwellness.com, and bright is intentionally misspelled B-R-I-T-E, omegabrightwellness.com. This episode is also sponsored by Landmark College, another institution that I have warm personal relationship with in Putney, Vermont. It's the college of choice for students who learn differently. Learn more at lcdistraction.org. Hello and welcome to Distraction. I'm your host, Dr. Ned Hallowell. No matter pandemic or not, we're all becoming quite addicted, if not addicted, at least habituated to our various screens and other electronic devices. And we have a guest today who has a book out titled 5,203 Things to Do Instead of Looking at Your Phone. She's pretty remarkable. This lady has written 80 other books, including 14,000 Things to Be Happy About, that has over 1.2 million copies in print, and I can tell you that's a staggering number. She has a PhD in linguistics, a PhD in archaeology, a PhD in Buddhist studies, and a BS in physical education. My gosh, Barbara Ann Kipfer. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you did. I'm 100 years old.
You're amazing. You're amazing, and it's incredible. Well, 80 books and 3 PhDs and a degree in physical education. Did you have a favorite sport?
I wanted to be a football coach. That was the plan.
Yeah, that's.
I loved basketball, but I wanted to be a football coach. Wow. And then I got to college, and my advisor said, "Really, you've got to be kidding me." So,
well, you marched to the beat of your own drum.
I ended up being a sports writer, which was great. But I was working in Chicago, and that meant, working late at night till wee hours of the morning in a big, big city. So I said, what else can I do with words? And I thought about dictionaries because I had read them. That was like the kind of book I liked to read, was dictionaries. So I became a lexicographer, and that's what I've been doing for 40 years.
Wow. Well, you don't write sports anymore.
I don't, but I am very much interested in writing some books about sports in my future life.
I'd love to ask you a few questions about that. So you became a lexicographer. I wrote my undergraduate thesis in college about a lexicographer.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Who did you write about?
Samuel Johnson.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the first dictionary of the English language. He also wrote a few other things, but his definition in his dictionary of a lexicographer was a harmless drudge.
I know, a harmless drudge.
Exactly. But you're much more harmful than that, I think.
Well, I don't know. I am a drudge, though. You see how much I like to work. So
yes, that's wonderful.
The thought of retirement is.
Don't do it.
As my husband will tell you, not something I like to entertain.
Don't do it until you have to. I'm 70 years old, and they'll have to carry me out, but I'll do this as long as my brain allows me to.
Well, my first thought when this pandemic started was, I'm going to lose my job, and by golly, thank goodness I still have it, and it's just amazing. I thought the company I work for would start going downhill, and they've been rising. It's like, you can't predict things.
Yeah, no, you sure can't. You sure can't.
Everything you worry about doesn't happen, and the thing you don't worry about, that's what's going to happen.
Well, so I'm sure all of our listeners are waiting with bated breath to hear some of the 5,203 things we can do.
Oh, you think we're going to give some away, huh?
Yeah,
well,
give some away.
I know that I used to, when I first got an iPad, which was a while ago, I'm not an early adopter, but I'm a fairly early adopter. I would leave the thing. It would just be like there for emergencies. I never looked at it. And the kids and my husband would say, "Why do you have an iPad? You never use it." Now the thing is like another appendage. I actually probably use it more than my computer. And it's just addictive. That's what, when I finally picked it up and started using it, it became addictive. I think that's the way phones are for a lot of people. My phone stays in my purse, and I don't use it. But the iPad, that became my thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm sitting, if I don't have something to do, reading a book, petting the cat, doing something useful, I pick the thing up for like no reason, and I just scan and say, what app can I open and look something up? It's
right.
It's not good. I don't have to explain that to anybody. It's not good. So I started thinking, I love to make lists. I had told my publisher, Workman Publishing, many times I had ideas for things to do for people. Things to do at the beach, things to do at a museum that were like a little different, like a little out of the lines of what you would normally do in those places.
Right.
And then finally, my editor about 2 years ago, Mary Ellen O'Neill, said, why don't we do a book about things to do, but make it about instead of using your phone, which was a brilliant idea. I'm going to give her credit because I didn't come up with that part of it. So this is about what you can do when you're about to pick up your phone, or you've been messing with your phone, and then you say, wait a minute, how useful is this for my brain?
Over the past few months, I've spoken to my friend, the founder and creator of Omega Bright Wellness, Dr. Carol Locke, about the benefits of taking Omega Bright's omega-3s, CBD, and other supplements. Here's a clip from one of those conversations. Now, there are many different products, brands of fish oil. Why is Omega Bright the best?
What I can speak to with Omega Bright is it's a very different formula than typically what you can get in the store or online. And Omega Bright is clinically proven. We have over 10 studies in major academic centers showing Omega Bright improving mood, helping with bipolar, with depression, with ADHD, with anxiety, with inflammation. So it's a very proven product for you to gain these benefits, and these benefits we know come from Omega Bright. You can't get that with a typical omega-3, which has, say, 180 milligrams of EPA in it. That just isn't going to provide that benefit.
Distraction listeners, you can save 20% on your first order at omegabrightwellness.com by using the promo code PODCAST2020. I want to tell you about Landmark College in beautiful Putney, Vermont. It is the best college in the world for students who learn differently, with ADHD, for other learning differences, or autism spectrum disorder. It's fully accredited, not-for-profit, offering bachelor's and associate degrees, bridge programs, online dual enrollment courses for high school students, and summer programs. They use a strength-based model at Landmark, which, as you know, is the model that I certainly have developed and subscribed to give students the skills and strategies they need to achieve their goals in life and really expand upon what they believe they're capable of doing. It is just a wonderful, wonderful place, and I can't say enough good about it. I myself have an honorary degree from Landmark College, of which I am very proud. Landmark College in Putney, Vermont is the college of choice for students who learn differently. To learn more, go to lcdistraction.org. That's lcdistraction.org. Okay, let's get back to today's topic. Can you give us some of the 5,203 things I or anyone else can do instead of looking at our phones?
Yes. When you open, my idea for it is you open the book to just any place. Just randomly open it because it is a random list. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to open it, and it says, play a game of paintball. Okay. Roll around in your office chair.
Uh-huh.
Dance in the moonlight.
Uh-huh.
Bake a dessert. Interview a person you admire.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make that up. It's really in the book. Feed a squirrel. Carefully.
Yes.
Excuse a blunder.
Mm-hmm.
Frame something you painted.
Mm-hmm.
Invite friends for a hike.
Mm-hmm.
Make a salad.
Mm-hmm.
Create a space to do yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Open a drawer and sort the contents.
Mm.
There are quite a few in here, little things to do around your house that you may have put off, forgotten about, or really need a reminder of.
Mm-hmm.
So here's one: picnic on the fire escape. Map out your ideal road trip. Flip or turn the mattress. Open stuck windows.
Mm-hmm.
Donate your old books.
Mm-hmm.
Balance on tiptoe. Play in autumn leaves.
Ah, yes.
And eat all your spinach.
These are great. And how did you come up with them? Did you just sort of sit down and let your mind wander? And
I did that. And what I did was, because I've written a lot of list books, I kind of just paged through those to trigger some ideas. Because it's real easy to think of things to do with your devices. Yeah. So I figured, you got to get back into the mindset of thinking about what things involve no devices.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I used my other list books that seemed like a fair enough way of going about it. Yes. I looked at some books that were written for kids. Most of them were pretty dated, about things kids could do and things kids could do outside, in the backyard and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sounds
It
wonderful.
wasn't easy getting to this number.
Well, but that's
I'm pretty good at making lists, and I'm pretty good at making lists where I don't repeat myself, but I needed a lot of help, double checking the manuscript afterwards to make sure I did not, just repeat something slightly different wording.
Well, you came up with 5,203, but that's nothing compared to your book about 14,000 things to be happy about.
Yeah, but it's nothing compared to my database, which is on my website, which has 176,000 things to be happy about.
176,000 things to be happy about?
176,000.
And now,
and
you actually...
I can tell you there's no repeats in that either.
How in the world?
I have been doing that. I've been doing that since I was in 6th grade. So now we're talking about 50-plus years that I've been writing down things to be happy about. Somebody who interviewed me said you must have done 3 or 4 a day during this whole time. And I do. I just still find so many things to write down that are things to be happy about.
Wow. Can you name off the top of your head some of your favorite things to be happy about?
Oh, yeah. Blueberry muffins. That was like my first entry.
Uh-huh.
I love things like, just simple stuff, like the feeling of receiving a genuine compliment. Mm-hmm. That is something we remember, like, for a long time.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
Study hall in the school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hot tomato soup. I have a lot of food entries. Somebody asked me once, why are there so many food entries? And I said, it's better to read about food than eat all of it.
That's really wonderful.
And then most of the stuff that I write into the database, which, I when the book was published, I said to Peter Workman, I said, now what do I do? And he says, what do you mean, now what do you do? Don't stop. You've done it up to now. Just keep writing down what you like. And that was very inspirational to hear. But a book being published doesn't mean you should stop doing what's your favorite thing to do. So
absolutely not.
I read
Barbara.
things that authors write that are so poignant. Like, here's a phrase, the closing eyelids of the day.
Yes.
I read that somewhere, and it just was really, it's like poetry.
Yes. No, and then you have the soul of a poet, but the mind of a lexicographer.
Right.
You're
well,
really...
remember, dictionaries are actually lists too.
Yes,
so,
of course.
Dictionaries and Thesauruses. I'm the editor of the Roget's International Thesaurus. And that is one big list there.
Wow, you're a regular genius, Barbara. I'm amazed. I'm very impressed.
No, I just work hard. Genius.
You have a lot to work with. You've got massive talent. Well, listen, we're out of time, but what a great read for anyone who wants to just keep something by your bed. 14,000 things to be happy about and 5,203 things to do instead of looking at your phone, by Barbara Ann Kipfer. What a wonderful kind of book to have right next to you. And I can tell every single one of those things is something that all of us could benefit from doing instead of looking at our phone. Thank you so much for joining me and joining my wonderful audience, who I'm sure loved
Thanks for the invitation. I enjoy your work very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Barbara. Well, that's it for today. Thanks so much to Barbara for joining me. Her book, 5,203 Things to Do Instead of Looking at Your Phone, is available online wherever you buy your books, or you can click the link in our show notes. And please continue to reach out to us at connect@distractionpodcast.com. That's connect@distractionpodcast.com, and follow Distraction on your Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're trying to really beef up our social media presence. And please remember to tell your friends about this podcast. We want to keep growing our wonderful Distraction community. And while I'm praising the social media, I should also say you should get Barbara's book so you won't just stay glued to social media. So Distraction is created by Sounds Great Media. The podcast is recorded and mixed by the super talented Scott Persson, a genius in his own right, and produced by the equally talented, genius-laden Sarah Guertin. I'm your host, Dr. Ned Hallowell, saying goodbye for now. The episode you just heard was made possible by my good friends at Omega Bright Wellness. I take their supplements every day, and that's why I invited them to sponsor my podcast. Shop online at Omega Bright, and that's BRITE wellness.com.